howdy folks, and welcome back. And as always, I thank you all for watching, and I thank all of my subscribers. And I know this is a little bit of a departure from the boat build, and I have not abandoned the boat build, but I do have other projects that have been kind of simmering on the back burner for a while, and I need to start getting some of those projects off the back burner, and this is one of them right here. This, of course, as I explained in that previous video, this is the stock from a Marlin Model 25N, or I should say Model 25MN. It's a 22 mag bolt action rifle, and as I explained, somebody carved up the stock right here, and so we're going to go ahead and try to rescue that. And we're going to pick up right where we left off in that last video. And of course, I was stripping the finish off the stock, and as you can see there, got about 99.99% of the finish stripped off now, and we are ready to get the steam iron out and start trying to lift that grain right there, so we can try to get that whatever that is right there, that little piece of really bad artwork, so we can start lifting that out of that stock and of course get this stock refinished and get it restored. I'll be right back when I get the steam iron set up. Okay, so let me explain this process just a little bit here. I've got my steam iron ready to go. All I got to do is turn it on, get it heating up. But what I need to do is I need to place a rag soaked with cold water over this area, and that's because while we want the steam to penetrate the wood grain and the fiber of the wood, we don't want to scald it. And so what this does is when that steam passes through this water, it cools it just a little bit. And again, that's to keep from scalding the fiber, keep from scalding the cells of the wood. And so let me get this heated up and get the camera set up, and we'll be ready to go. Okay, so we are percolating. Here we go. And you want to make sure you just concentrate as best as you can on the area that you're wanting to lift. And it's actually fogging up my camera lens. That wind is blowing it right into the camera. Sorry about that. Move that camera away there. What are the odds of that wind direction being just perfect? Alright, so I'm going to find a fresh cold spot on that rag. And here we go again. Again, find a fresh cold spot. Try to estimate where you're at. Let's see. Look about there. But we're fogging up again. Check the water level. And it's where I'm applying that steam is kind of due south of that little cheek riser right there. Oh, she's cooking now. Notice I'm moving it around. I'm not concentrating it on one spot, because we want to raise the area around that little blemish too. And I may have to do this several times. Alright, turn the steamer off. And we're just going to walk away from that for a little while. and just give that moisture time to swell up that wood. And I'll be back in a few moments to check on that. Okay, so the way you can tell that the grain is starting to swell is you just run your finger across the grain over on a section that you did not apply steam to, and that still feels fairly smooth right there. Now when I come over here and run my finger across this section, it's starting to feel rough. I can actually feel what it's best described as really fine sandpaper, and that's how I know that the grain is starting to swell up. And so I'm going to do that a couple of more times with the steam. I got to refill my steamer, that little steam iron there. It'll last about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then I have to go refill it. But yeah, that's starting to feel rough right there. I'm going to hit that one more time, and then I'm going to come back and make an attempt to sand that. All right, round two. Be careful with these steam irons. As I said, you don't want to scald the wood, you don't want to scald your skin either. And that can happen real fast. Move the rag. Find a nice cold spot. Here we go. Yeah, cold enough. And I'm putting that nozzle right down within about 1/4 of an inch of that rag. All right, we are going to stop right there, and what I'm going to do before I start sanding, I'm going to let this air dry completely, and so after it's finished drying, we'll come back and start the sanding. I'll be right back. Okay, so I don't want to get in a hurry with this, but while I wait for this to dry, I'll show you what I'm going to use to sand this with. And this is just a little sanding sponge, and that's so that it will follow the contour of this stock back here in the shoulder area. And I want to take as little material off as I have to, and I may end up having to come back and reapply that steam to that area several times in order to get that sanded out smooth without leaving a divot. Alright folks, I'm going to walk away and let that dry for a little while. Okay, round one, sanding. And the reason for that blue tape right there is I don't want to accidentally round that edge off right there where the butt plate attaches. I just want to make sure I protect that corner. I want a nice sharp corner right there. Yeah, I was right. That will take several applications of steam. So I'm going to get this set up and we're going to go round two. Okay, I think we've just about used up all our water. A little bit left in there. All right. And once again, we're going to let that completely dry, and then we'll start our sanding once again. Okay, sanding round two. I'm going to switch to a hard sanding block. I think that sponge might be pressing down into that little depression right there, and that area actually is ever so slightly lower than the surrounding surface. And like I say, I think that sponge might be pressing down into this area right here, and we don't want that. I'm going to use a hard sanding block so it'll glide across that without taking any material out of this area. Okay, as you can see, maybe not, let me move the camera. We're making progress. I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to go ahead and steam this area again, lift that up some more, and then we'll continue this process. I'll be right back. I'm going to try to hit the bottom of that little carving a little bit more. It seems to be a little bit deeper at the bottom. And you probably noticed that when I was sanding a while ago. Okay, let's let that dry. Okay, so I just want to make sure that I'm not digging a little divot right there, and I also want to make sure that I'm not sanding some flat spots across that curvature right there, and that's why you saw me moving that sanding block around. Don't sand it just in one plane. I keep moving this thing around so as not to create a flat spot across this curved surface right here. I'm going to steam that again, I think one more time, and I think we got it there. Let's zoom in on it, let you see that. We're making progress. I'll be back. All right, here we go again. All right, we're going to throw some more steam on it. I am starting to feel just a very slight indentation right there, and that may be unavoidable, but I'm going to get set up and we're going to steam it one more time. As you can see there, we've almost got it. Alright, I need to let that dry. Alright, real quick, I'm going to show you another method you can use to raise the grain. If you need to raise an area for sanding, like I'm having to do right here. And it's basically just take a damp wash towel and just soak the area, let that water soak in, and walk away until it dries. And that also will bring the grain up. Alright, we're going to let that dry. I'll be right back. Alright, here we go. One more time. Hopefully this will be the last time. Let's see. Alright, we're going to use that other method to bring that grain up just a little bit. We're just going to wet it down a little bit here. We are so close. You can still see a little bit of an outline right there, and I guarantee you that would be noticeable when you would go to apply linseed oil. So we want that out. We want that outline out. It's etched just a little bit right there, so we want to get that out. Man, that's close. All right, let's let that dry. Okay, so I think now we're done with the steam. I have enough of that damage out now that I can use that other method I showed you. I can just take the wet rag and just wipe the area down and raise that grain in that area, and that's a little bit more localized. I can control it a little bit more that way. And you don't want the rag to where it's just dripping wet. You just want to get it wet and then wring all the water out of it before you wipe that down. But I think now I can go ahead and do it that way. Just lift that grain in the area right here where I've been sanding, and then just come back and sand it smooth when it dries. All right, we're going to let that dry now. Also, you saw me in that previous segment, I switched to the little sponge block here, the little sponge sanding block, and that's because now this little indentation is raised up enough that I'm not worried about carving it out and doing more damage. And I can take this sponge block now and I can use it to blend into all these contours right here. All right, once again, we'll be back. All right, it's nice and dry. Let's see what we got. All right, one more time. It's almost gone. Well, all right. I think we got it. Folks, I think, unless you know what you're looking for, unless you knew that was there, I don't think it would be noticeable at all. And so with that, I think that's a good place to wrap up this video. In the next video, we're just going to pick up right where we left off here, and we will start by getting started on the rest of the sanding and getting this stock ready for stain and finish. All right, folks, I want to thank you all for watching, and as I always say, God bless each and every one of you, and in all things, to God be the glory. We'll see you in the next video.